All right, and we're live.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to What Are You Watching? I'm Riley Schott, and I'm here with
Nate Slauson.
Future Hall of Famer, Mr. Horton. Can't get away from that tagline. All right, so we changed the show up a little bit, right? It's going to be different this week.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss one show, the first 3 episodes of The Last Dance. Can I start by saying I have really enjoyed watching them. You know, this has forced me. This is a positive. This is, it's something that I wanted to watch, but putting off, and didn't watch. This has forced me to watch it, and it is amazing. It's good stuff.
I'm not a sports person at all, as you two know. But it interests me like what goes on a sports team. I don't know all the big little basic stuff that happens on a basketball team. So looking at the drama that's just happened, I didn't know the Bulls had this much drama that happened, first of all. I'm further ahead than you guys, I think, because I've been watching it since before we started. So we're gonna start watching it. But I love it. I think it's a great way. I think it's great. It's interesting. Even if you're not into sports, it's a very good documentary to get into.
There is. I want to go episode at a time. So the first episode, we get introduced to Jerry Krause, the GM. Who's like every story has to have a bad guy, and he seems to be the bad guy.
Oh yeah.
And
we got the ring ceremony.
Yeah. I think it's a statement, and to your point, Riley Schott, it's a statement about what happens, that basketball is a business and that the management wants to make changes, and the players have a totally different view of than the management does. It really brings to light the stark difference between the two. And I wrote down a quote, Michael, in the first episode, when managements want to make changes after they've won, 2 championships and 3, and they want to make changes. And Michael says,
they wanted to switch up the whole team.
I know. And Michael says, we are entitled to defend what we have won, which is the way the players feel about it, right? We came together, we put all this work in, and you want to change it up? What's up?
Yep.
The undertone is players versus management. I mean, that's,
I was shocked when I heard that after they've won so many different championships that that Jerry Krause wanted to switch up the whole team. I didn't know that, again, because I was into sports. So watching this, I was like, why would you even think about switching up a team that's already winning you so many championships? Like, business standpoint, it doesn't even make sense to me.
I know. And Nate, I know you got into the first episode a little bit, but
I'm into the second one.
Are you into the second one?
I just fell asleep last night watching it.
I know it's not your thing.
That, and I was approaching 60 hours with only about 5 hours sleep because of me watching the election result.
I know you were a little over the top. You were over the top with your election results, but it's cool to be interested in something. But the players versus the management is carries over into life too. I mean, that's a bigger type story. And because that's more like workers versus management. Workers feel like they're the ones that do all the work, and managers say, well, workers wouldn't ever get anything done if it wasn't for us. I know. And but the NBA is completely different. We're seeing a little bit of it. I know this is not a sports show, but we're seeing a little bit of it with Tom Brady leaving and going to Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. Because we had that question. We talked about that on the sports show. Is Tom Brady going to thrive in Tampa Bay because he's a great athlete, or was he a great athlete because Bill Belichick was his coach? Well, we have the answer. We have the answer. Tom Brady's a great athlete, and he was great no matter where he went. So even at his advanced age, still younger than me. Any comments on the first episode, Nate? What did you think?
First episode's a little hazy. I'm not going to lie to you.
Nate, did you say earlier that your favorite part was seeing Obama?
Maybe.
Well, think about that in the documentary. President Obama was, what do you say? He was broke, right? I mean, he was like
Yeah.
a community organizer at that time.
He
Hadn't
said
run
he
for the
couldn't even
Senate.
afford a ticket for the cheapest seats.
Yeah.
And it's something to say too that the Bulls had such a big impact that not one, but now in the second episode, there's been 2 presidents with Bill Clinton talking about Pippen.
Yeah.
Clinton was in there talking about when we can move on to episode 2, when Scottie Pippen played in Central Arkansas. And I think probably, I don't know, I'd have to check. I almost think Clinton was maybe the governor of Arkansas at that time.
I believe so,
Might be
yes.
before he became president, because that would have been like 80.
I think they had him, his little title was governor of Arkansas.
Oh, was it? Yep, governor of Arkansas. Well, and what a powerful impact sports has on the public in general, right?
We saw how powerful impact the NBA was last year when, recently with the China stuff, and how big just them talking about it turned into. So it's just to say that even back then, even so long ago, it still made such a big impact on the world, let alone just the United States.
Yeah, anybody that lived through that time when Michael played, you know who MJ is, you know who 23 is.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, let's talk about the NBA this year, before the shutdown. The NBA was the first organized professional sport to say, yeah, we're stopping the season. They just stopped.
Yeah.
And, it was funny. Ordinary people hadn't paid much attention at that point to, COVID and all that. People were just going, But when the NBA shut down, I can remember looking in the classroom in the morning, looking at each other going, whoa, this is real. If the NBA shuts down, this is real.
I remember seeing the opposite. I kept seeing, whoa, this isn't real.
Yeah. Well, when the NBA shut down?
Yeah. No, this isn't real.
This isn't real. Well, a commentary of the times, we have a point in time now called the shutdown, okay?
The shutdown.
Quarantine.
Yeah, quarantine.
The coronation.
Yeah, coronation.
Coronation.
Senior class cat named Coronation. As soon as we got out of school, everyone was like, okay, what are we doing? And that was our information.
I was in an event called Kona, which was a national conference, and our group chat on Snapchat was, of course, named Kona, but in the middle of it, nice little RO, Corona, just all caps Kona, little RO.
So I want to go back to the first episode real quick. 1982, Michael Jordan with my beloved UNC Tar Heels. We're playing Georgetown in the national championship, and Michael hits the game-winning shot that won them the championship over Georgetown. And it was funny. They said right after that, from that moment on, he was no longer Mike Jordan. He was Michael.
Michael.
He became Michael. So one moment in time, people recognize, up until that time, you say, hey, Mike Jordan, it's funny. Now he's Michael. And all you have to do right now, even to young kids, is just say Michael, and they know who you're talking about.
Yeah. It's crazy how big of an impact from changing your name from Mike to Michael is. Like the connotation that you have from just saying, my name's not Mike, it's Michael. Like the power that he possessed just from saying, my name's Michael.
Yep. And interesting. I found that really interesting. Let's move on because we gotta keep moving. Let's move on to episode 2. We already talked about Scottie Pippen. That's mostly about Scottie Pippen. Episode 2 is. Yeah. They, I think the question is there from that. Would Michael Jordan have been as good without Scottie Pippen? He was his number 2.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Wait, wasn't he was he the one that was underpaid too? There's another one that I remember.
Yeah.
I can't.
That was
Yeah.
Pippen signed a contract. It was like
I'm
bizarrely.
surprised that like
Grossly
that was a
underpaid.
thing that was happening, that a basketball player that was number 2, but almost just behind Michael in the whole league, is now the least paid basketball player in the league.
Yes.
It's crazy to think that.
Well, because the Bulls didn't win championships until Pippen got there. Right?
Yeah.
That's when they started winning. I mean, Michael was good. You know, he was rookie of the year. And that in the 3rd episode, they talk a lot about Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
He was late to the Bulls party, but they also talk about Michael's injury in episode 2 when he broke his foot. Yeah, that I love the analogies that go on there when, you know, there was a 10% chance that he, you know, if he did it again, it would ruin his whole career when he went back. And that analogy,
decided just to do it anyways.
Yep, the analogy that the general manager or I don't know, maybe system manager, somebody tried to give him was, I've got 10 pills and you've got a headache.
Yeah.
9 of them are going to cure it. 1 of them is going to kill you. Do you take a pill? Michael says, depends on how bad the headache is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and that was his thing. It depended. He wanted to play. So, I don't know. Interestingly, you know, we've kind of known this. He was cut in the Hanover Public Schools. He was cut from the varsity team as a sophomore. He was like 5'10" and went out that summer and came back like 6'3".
Yeah.
So came back as a junior in high school. You know,
isn't there a lot of NBA players though that like didn't make their varsity team at first?
Yeah, well, because they hadn't gone through a growth spurt. You know, high school is such a funny time, right? I mean, you guys see it being high schoolers. Some kids mature way faster than others, get tall. That there's other kids that don't like fully like get a growth spurt until they're in college.
Yep.
You know, you see some of these. We see some kids come back from college, and it's whoa, you got tall.
I'm watching my classmates starting to catch up to my height, and in the last 2 years, I've grown half an inch.
Yeah, so you might have an early growth spurt.
But. Yeah, that was me. I like stopped growing a few years ago, like in middle school, and like I was like one of the tallest kids in the grade. All of a sudden, one summer, everybody's this tall, and I'm down here.
Yeah, that happens. So let's move on to the last episode. That's Dennis Rodman was playing for the Pistons, and those battles that the Bulls had with the Pistons.
Can I just say, I love Dennis Rodman's personality. I like how he just doesn't care. He's out there. He's going to do what he wants. He's going to look the way he wants. I love his personality, and I think he was such a good role model just for his personality. His actions, on the other hand, probably not the best. But his personality-wise, he's a great role model.
The interesting part, I mean, isn't he still, you know, making splashes in the news, like with best buddies with Kim Jong-un and all that stuff?
I don't know.
That one did not see that one.
Yeah, look Rodman up now. I mean, he travels to North Korea all the time.
Oh,
that you know he's considered himself an unofficial ambassador. Right? Didn't see that one coming, right?
Not the top tourist destination, you know, for Americans.
I don't think I don't know. You can't get in, right? You can't get in there unless
you're
invited. Yeah, and he's invited by the man. So yeah, that just plays on your wacky personality, and you know he's still that way.
I like the fact, I think it fits in with the times and how it's grown with him. Just like, I'm going to dye my hair the way I want to dye it. I'm going to put 33s in my hair just because I feel like putting 33s in my hair. You know,
which was
awesome. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to be confident in myself. I just don't care. And that's part of what's coming up nowadays is that kids are starting to realize, yeah, I don't care what you think. You know, it's starting to get to that point where everybody's starting to get there. And I think that part of him is what people need to look up to. The other parts, his actions, who he hangs out with, that stuff, that's not the greatest, but.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it was funny. Michael talked a lot about the competition that he had with his brothers. how it made
Yeah.
him better. And, you know, I think that helps. Family competition. Two things I want to say before we have to move on. Are we going to decide? We'll decide off air what next. Let's choose. I'm going to finish watching the series, but let's get something. I've saw enough to review Last Dance. I give it like 7 thumbs up.
Oh yeah, it's a great documentary. I'm into the 6th episode or something. It's great, and it gets a lot more interesting as you go on. I know it gets a little boring in the beginning because you're learning who these people are, especially if you're not into sports like I was. But once you get further into it, there's a lot more to dissect and figure out.
Yeah, I think it's great. Do we want to pick on air what we want to do next week or off air? I think we stick with the documentaries though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we should do it off air.
Okay. All right. So take us home, Riley Shaw. Well, first, Nate, go ahead.
Each choosing one?
What's happening?
Are we not each choosing another show to talk about like we talked about last week?
Oh, we can. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right.
I'll start. I said it when we were off camera, the wonderful, the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, not wonderful, marvelous Maisel. Great show. It's TVMA, a little language, some situations, but gist of the show is a Jewish woman in the late 50s, divorced, becomes a comic, and I'll leave it at that. It's worth watching. It's good.
Mine is a movie. It took me a bit to get through it this week. It's a little bit longer, and it's called American Pie Girls Rule. Definitely, I'm not 18, but I did not expect it to be this. It is R-rated. It's on Netflix. Definitely 18 plus. It has a lot of inappropriate things that happen, but definitely 18 plus. But it's a great movie if you are old enough to watch it. Just be forewarned, there's a lot of mature content in it.
Comedy?
What?
Comedy?
There's comedy and there's some like serious scenes, but it's more comedy. But it's just like those type of scenes are in there of inappropriateness. It just definitely be older. Have parents' permission. If you're not, you just be older to watch it.
I'm here to take the cake on your MA and your rated R with my suggestion, Game of Thrones on HBO.
Ooh, very popular.
I have been saving this one until I'm further in the series. I'm in about season 6 of 8. It is a wonderful show. It's also a very sexual show.
Listen, I tried to start this. I couldn't get through the first episode. Do I need to just stick with it?
You have to stick with it. The exposition takes a while, but you'll grow attached to these characters. Fair warning, don't grow attached to any one character. This is a rated R show, language, sexual content, drug use, heavy gore.
Gotcha. All right. Let's wrap it up, Riley, and we'll pick a show for next week when we get off the air. Take us home.
Okay, guys, thanks for joining in and tuning into What Are You Watching? If you have any documentaries that you recommend, let us know. We'll try to add those in and watch them and review them. I'm Riley Schott, and I'm here with
Nate Slauson.
Future Hall of Famer, Mr. Horton. It's been a pleasure, guys. Always a pleasure.